Hello everyone, you are watching Learn with Lovejeet, and in this video I will be discussing functions in C language. So what is basically a function? A function is basically a sequence of statements to carry out a particular operation or task. Like I am having some function addition, and inside the curly braces basically define the body of a function. So inside these curly braces I will be having some set of statements that will implement the logic for this addition. So whenever this addition function will be called, the value it will be returning is the addition of two arguments like x and y. If I am passing two values to this function x and y and call this add function, so add will be returning me this sum of x and y. So let's see one by one what is function declaration, what is function definition, and how we can call a function. So this is the syntax for function definition. This is the return type. Okay, on the leftmost side we write the return type of function, then space, then comes the function name, and inside these braces there may be parameters. Okay, parameters are like basically are the variables that are basically the input. When we call some function, during the call we will be passing some values, and those values are received through these parameters. Okay, then on these parameters computation will take place inside the function body. So on the leftmost side we have return type, then space function name, then inside this braces we have parameter declarations. Obviously these are optional. Okay, inside this curly braces, which is my function body, there will be some declarations like declarations for variables, and there will be some statements like to perform the computation. So see this program. First line is the inclusion for some header file. Then on line 3, as you can see, this is function declaration. Here int is the return type, sum is my function name, and inside these braces int comma int and close braces semicolon. This is my function declaration. I have not used here these curly braces, so that means I have not defined the function body. This is only the function declaration. Okay, so what is the function declaration? Basically I am telling the compiler that there is a function named sum that takes as parameters two integer type variables, and it will return a value of integer type. Okay, so this is a sum function named sum that takes two parameters of integer type, and it returns a value of int. Like this sum function will be passed two integer type values, like I am having some integer variables x with value 1, y with value 2. So these two variables will be passed during the function call, and those variables value will be assigned to these parameters. Once the computation for addition is completed, then this function will return a value, and the returned value will have type int. The value will be of integer type. So here, now this is my on line 5 main function. Okay, the main function is having here integer type. Inside these parentheses nothing is written, so no parameters for main function. Now after this opening braces, okay, curly braces, I have defined a variable a initialized with value 10, a variable b initialized with value 20. Now inside this printf function I have called this sum function and passed variable a and b. Okay, so now sum a and b, this is the function call. Now this is the function body. First let's see the function body and the function definition. On line 15, starting from 15 to 23, function definition is there. On line 15 I have written sum, return type is int, and I have given here parameters name like First parameter is x of integer type, second parameter is y of integer type. Inside the function body, I have defined another variable I of integer type. I will be assigned the value after we do the addition of x and y. So here, and then it will return I to the caller. Okay, this is my sum is my called function and the caller is main. Okay, so when the program executes this line sum a comma b, so this function is called. What values are passed to this called function? A and b are possessing 10 and 20, so x is equal to 10, y is equal to 20. Okay, see the order. A values is passed to x, b values is passed to y. Then x plus y is 30, 30 is assigned to y and return 30. So this 30 is returned here. Okay, this 30 is returned here and then it is printed. So what will be printed on the screen? 30. Okay, see. Now line 5. Let's explain what line 5 means. Line 5 is basically the function definition of main starts. Return type of main is int and it takes no parameters. Okay, no parameters, like the inside this parenthesis nothing is written. Okay, and main returns value 0 to the system environment. Basically when we run a C program, there will be some environment and that environment will be calling there will be some execution environment. Okay, that execution environment will be first calling the main function, and once the processing of this main function is completed, main will be returning some value to the execution environment. So if the value returned is 0, that means the program has successfully terminated without any error. In case a non-zero value is passed to the environment, that means we are having some error. Okay, and the system may need to handle that error. So here I have returned 0. I am indicating by myself that the program have executed successfully to the environment. Now line 15 to 20, as I have already told, that is the function definition. Sum takes two integer type parameters named x and y. Both these parameters are local to this sum function. Okay, what this line means, that int x and int y are local to this sum function. Okay, if I try to fetch the value of x inside this main, I will get the error that x is unknown. X is known only to this sum function. Okay, x and y are only known to this sum function. They are having the local scope, or I can say block scope. Outside this block, okay, or outside this function, they are unknown. So this is the meaning of this line, that x and y are having local scope. So this function returns integer named I value to the caller function, that is main, which prints this value by calling printf function of standard input output library. Okay, so this function will be returning a value I to the caller function. Okay, the caller function is main, and inside this printf I have called this sum function. So whatever the value is returned, it will be present here, and using the printf statement I will be printing this value onto the output screen. Function declaration at line 3 must match with the function definition. So I have written here that I am telling to the compiler that there is a function named sum, the return type is int, and it will take two parameters of integer type. Okay, although I have not defined parameters name like I have defined here x and y. Okay, so parameter names are optional during function declaration. So this function definition and function declaration should match. Here the type of parameters is integer, and in the function declaration it should also be integer type, and vice versa. These should be exactly matched. Okay, okay. By default, functions have external storage class. What that means? That means that I can call this function from another body, another file, another translation unit. I have already discussed about translation units in my previous videos. Like I am having some .c file named a.c. This is my one translation unit, and this is the file name is c_fun.c. This is my one translation unit. So extern, when I am having some variable with extern keyword, or I'm having some function, the default class of functions the default storage class of function is extern. So that means I can call that function from outside this .c file, from another .c file. The only rule is I have to provide the declaration, like this declaration there, so that the compiler can know that there exists some function named sum of return type int that take two parameters int, and the definition of this sum of this function is present in some another .c file. Which another .c file? I will be telling the compiler to find out the definition of the file using the hash include syntax. Okay, whatever the file name is given in that hash include, the compiler will try to find out the definition in that .c file. If it finds the definition, then no problem, it will execute the function. If there is no definition, it will give me the error that the function has not been defined. So this is by default, functions have external storage class. Okay, this is was function. Functions are basically the set of statements to carry out a particular operation. This is my parameters, okay, and these arguments. Okay, one thing to know, arguments versus parameters. When we pass some variables during the function calls, those are known as arguments. Now sum is called and a and b are passed. A and b are here are arguments. Okay, here x and y. X and y are basically my parameters. So this is the terminology you need to remember. Or I can say these are actual arguments. These are arguments or actual arguments. These are parameters or formal arguments. This is the terminology. Okay, so clear? All about this, all about functions, and let us move on to next topic, call by value. There is a concept of call by value and call by reference. In this video, I will be discussing call by value, and call by reference will be discussed in the future videos once I discuss this pointer topic. Okay, so what is call by value? In C, all the function arguments are passed by value. That means the called function is given the values of its arguments in temporary variables rather than originals. So now the called function can't directly change a value in the calling function. It can change or alter its private copy only. What that means? Here 10 is assigned the value 10, A is assigned the value 10, and B has been assigned the value 20, and this A and B are passed. Now A and B are basically referring to some memory location. At some memory location, there is a memory location named A that is storing value 10. There is a memory location named B that is storing value 20. And this A and B are passed to this sum function. Okay, the values are passed into X and Y. So now consider this as assignment. X is assigned the value whatever A is pointing. So A is pointing 10. So this 10 is copied into X and this 20 is copied into Y. Okay, so now X will be A is holding 10 at some location like 1000. B is holding 20 at some location like 2000. Now X will be holding this 10 at some another location with address 7000. Okay, A is having value 10, X is value having 10, but they are not pointing to the same memory location. A is pointing to some other location, X is pointing to some other location, B is pointing to some another location, Y is pointing to some another location. Okay, X and Y have already only been assigned the values of A and B. They are not actually pointing to the memory locations as same as A and B. Okay, so the memory locations of A and B and X and Y will be different. Okay, this is the meaning of this line, that the values of arguments are copied into the temporary variables rather than the originals. Okay, so whatever the change that happens on these temporary variables, that doesn't affect A and B. Okay, so if I write here like X, okay, I have received in X value 10 and in Y value 20. So what if I make X as 100 and Y as 200? Okay, so only X and Y inside this block will be having this 100 and 200 value. Okay, that doesn't mean that A and B will change to 100 and 200 respectively. These two are different locations, these two are different locations. Okay, if I change x and y here, that doesn't changes the value assigned to a and b. So this is called by value. Okay, the changes that happen to the temporary variables inside a function, they doesn't affect the values in the original function. Okay, this x and y basically are the local copies, private copies of sum. Whatever the changes happen to x and y, they remain out inside only this function, that they doesn't affect the values of a and y, a and b. Now as opposed to this call by value, we have call by reference. In call by reference, using the concept of pointers and the address operator, what we can do, we can change the actual values. Basically change the actual values, that is change the values of passed arguments. Now instead of passing the values, I will be passing the address, holding those values. Now the call function can access the actual variables by referring to the address, and we basically use pointers to implement call by reference. Okay, so here let's assume that A is holding 10 at some memory location 1000 and B is holding 20 at some memory location 2000. So instead of passing 10 and 20, I am passing 1000 and 2000. Now using the pointer concept, X will change the value at 1000 and Y will change the value at 2000. Okay, so using this pointer concept, I am actually changing the values at those addresses. Okay, so the changes that are done inside the sum, inside this function, will be visible or will have effect on the actual variables passed during the function call. We will be covering this call by reference in detail, but I just thought that I should give the definition.